We are live. It does. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Let's see. Hey, Muhammad, Chicago. What's going on, y'all? Get started in here in a minute. Let's see. Damn. Oh, let's see. Okay.
When you tried to chill, but it didn't work.
Oh, is that right? Oh yeah, had to get one of those girls night in here.
They're coming after us with everything they've got.
I'll be right back, y'all. And here we are again. with another Jamie live. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Let's see. Sundays are the best nights to go out. Oh yeah, facts. The Beast Incarnate is back. He definitely is. RB in the building. What's going on? Is the Janelle Grant thing cleared up? Well, as far as Brock Lesnar goes, Lesnar goes, he good. So we gotta. I don't know. This is interesting. You know, I don't know because who was that? Was that Uncle Dave who said that Lesnar was banned from WWE? And I didn't even believe that. Because I'm like, ain't no way Lesnar's going to be banned from WWE. They might not let him back in, but to say that he's banned, that's crazy. You know? I won't go that far. But it definitely is something exciting to see moving forward, you know. Now how that actually saved the end of SummerSlam. For me, I didn't like the ending of that Cody Cena match. It was a good match overall, and they was doing a damn good job at telling a story. And then they didn't finish the story. Pun intended. You know, Cody was supposed to turn heel. You know, that doesn't make any difference of whether or not Brock, you know, that doesn't affect that. But the fact that Cody Rhodes did not turn heel, yeah. So we get Brock and Cena one more time. This is the first step in the right direction. Muhammad, that's I wish I could agree with you on that. Only because night 2 had a better showing of matches. The problem with night 2 was the ending of the matches. The ending of the match was kind of like, huh? That's it? You did all that to what? Oh, come on. You know, I did like that the Wyatts retained the belts. I didn't like that. I think that should have went to. I personally think that should have went back to the Street Profits. You know, especially if they are going to do the split between them, let them get one good. Because you think about it, whenever they were tag team champions, all their title runs were short-lived. They did not have good title runs. So it's like, okay, let them have this, you know, and then you can always go back, you know. But the Wyatts don't need the belts. They don't need the belts. You know, you could put certain belts on them at certain times, but you know, they don't need championship belts. You know. Because it kind of goes away from the aura of who they are, you know, as a faction, as a family, you know. Because I don't find nothing menacing about a bunch of guys and girls, you know, dressing up real spooky and scary and stuff, and then see them coming down the aisle with shiny belts. Like, yeah, we're champions. Like, huh? Like, nah, I ain't feeling that. I ain't feeling it. So, but I mean, overall, night 2 was a better showing, but it's still glaring issues. You know, it's still glaring issues. You know, and I can't remember the last time I watched a pay-per-view and, you know, except for the first match. Now the triple threat match, with Rhea, Io, and Naomi. Love that match. It was cool. Even with the fruit roll up, it was still cool. You know, that wasn't a dull, dead end to a match. The rest of the card, it was like, huh? Now, of course, I didn't see, I had to go back and watch the Bianca, I mean, not the Bianca, but the Becky and Lyra match. I did hear what happened, you know, so I definitely have to go back and watch that. But then, like, the steel cage match with Jacob and Solo, what? That was the least, that was like going to Chuck E. Cheese. And you know that play bin with all the balls in it, you know, and it got the net and stuff, and you could jump in it and everything. You could roll around and have fun and do little flips and stuff like that. That was a Chuck E. Cheese cage match, and how they ended that match was like, what? So you handcuff Jacob to the top of the cage, right? And he rips the handcuff off. And then he's fighting to bring Solo back in. Not only did the sequence of him bringing him back in not work, but he ended up getting out like that. Just the whole thing about that match was just horrible booking. I don't know who produced that match, but I know the production of that match and the booking of that match was Tati in the building. Hey, what's going on, girl? How you doing? It's really disturbing. I'm sure Vince will be back to. Hey, you know what? You know what? It's funny you said that because that was crossing my mind because I was like, well, damn. Brocc came back? Oh, well, shit. Could Vince come back? And I always kind of had in the back of my mind, especially, you know, when the whole talk about Vince might be returning, like, I'm like, if you think about it, there's a very possibility. It's a very possibility. Yo, I sound familiar. I sound familiar like who? Because I just thought I sounded like myself. Do you know my friend named Both? No. I don't know no Bofa. No. But and that main event, I mean, that main event was 10 times better than their Mania match. It was more entertaining, you know. But Cody Rhodes, go hit the gym, bruh. You out there looking like a slinky. You out there with them toothpick arms. Like you have no muscle mass in your arms whatsoever. None. And look, I know I'm not the only one who sees it. Every time Cody Rhodes goes to do the crossroads, you see how he has he literally has a hard time holding them up. The man got no muscle mass. Call him Twiggy Rhodes. Twiggy. Oh, Twig. Oh, man. You know, but, and I know there's going to be people, oh, yeah, that was the greatest SummerSlam of all time. Oh, man. Just like somebody said last night, how night one was like the worst SummerSlam. I'm like, whoa. I won't go that far. It's not in the top 10, I'll tell you that much. This SummerSlam ain't nowhere in the top 10. You know. But I mean, overall, I mean, it's WWE, you know, and it's kind of like I got done expecting certain things from this company because they're just, I mean, they're not a good company, you know. Don't let all the smoke and mirrors and pyro and all the world travel, like, man, they was doing that when they was at their lowest moments. They was still having European tours when they was at their lowest moments. So I don't get into all the hoopla about this, that, or third. As a product, WWE is not good. It's not. It's not. As an entertainment spectacle, they have that. But as the product itself, it's not good. You know? I mean, if you go back, now once everybody processes everything, I want people to go back and listen to that crowd. Listen to that crowd over the whole weekend. They were not amped up. And you put that crowd up against last year's crowd, the year before that, and the year before that. It's a night and day difference. And then, you know, and I'm glad Leo had pointed out, because I noticed it yesterday, but, you know, I'm in a chat to and at the same time, I'm trying to read everybody else's comment and everything. So I seen it, but I'm glad he pointed it out about how yesterday, over on the hard cam side, the seats was empty. But they ain't gonna tell you that, right? Yeah. All them tickets that they didn't sell all them tickets, people. They didn't sell all them tickets. They could use the word sellout all they want, but the key phrase in sellout is sell. Sell. They didn't sell all them tickets. They was giving them tickets away. You know, and WWE's stubbornness, even with Vince McMahon out of there, their stubbornness will not allow them to admit the truth. And they're going to keep on acting like, yeah, this is the greatest thing in the world. WWE, stop it. Did you see the Hardy? Oh yeah, I seen him. And you know, I should have expected that because it's the anniversary and everything. So I should have expected it. You know what I'm saying? But hey, look, I'm gonna say this right now. And Tati, this is what I would like to see on Wednesday. I would like to see, because obviously Christian's going to be out for a while after taking that that wicked concerto shot to the head. Yeah, that was ugly. But I would like to see Edge come out, and before he goes into the whole thing about what happened with Christian and all that, right? Before he gets into all that, what I would like to hear Edge say, Tony, before we get started, I just want to acknowledge something. There was a 25th anniversary of a particular match that happened 25 years ago. And while one company only wants to acknowledge 2 of the teams that were involved in that match, I would like to acknowledge that me and Christian were the only 2-time winners of that match against those same 2 teams. So thank you very much. I want him to do, because when you think about it, yes, they had the Hardys, yes, they had the Dudleys there, right? But Edge and Christian beat them in the SummerSlam match, and they beat them again a few months later at the WrestleMania rematch. Come on now. They're going to sit up there and say, and the 2 teams that were in that, like, as if Edge and Christian weren't there in the match. You see what I'm saying? Like, WWE want to take their little shots. Edge, take the shot. Take the shot. You know, because you guys were the winners of the match. You can't celebrate an anniversary and not acknowledge the winners of the match. Like, that's cold shit right there. You know, oh, we can't invite them. They work for the other company. We don't have no partnership with AEW. Bully Ray and Devon was shown first before. Yep. But it don't matter. Neither one of them won the match. Neither one of them won the match. You know, they want to acknowledge losers. They acknowledge the losers. The losers. You know. And shit. The only reason why the only reason why the Hardys were even in the position for them to even show up is because if Jeff Hardy had stayed clean, I guarantee you Tony Khan was not about to get rid of them. He was not about to let them go or anything. Because the whole thing they were gonna do a Hardys and Edge and Christian match. You know? And it might even be for the, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you know, you can't stay clean. Things happen. And it sucked too, because, you know, to see Jeff come out with the old school Hardy music was like, that was dope. Like, that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, hell yeah. Oh shit, the fuck? Damn. All right. Fuck it. But I'm curious, are they just gonna have a regular standard match? I wouldn't think they would have just a regular standard match. I would think it would have to be some type of like some type of specialty match. Damn. Yeah, that shit just flew away. Fuck. Oh yeah. Nah, I'm thankful for him. You know. You know. But I mean, it was a missed opportunity. I mean, the matches. I mean, oh my God, first time matches up and down the board. You know. Jesus saves. What does Jesus save? Please explain that to me. What does Jesus save? I'll wait. Because you're going to come on somebody's live talking about Jesus. So elaborate. What does Jesus save? I'll wait. Because if you could tell me what Jesus saves, I could tell you what Jesus doesn't save. So come on with it. What's your name? Chief Cherokee? Chief. So I assume you's an Indian, right? Indian, Native American. Are you the black version? Or are you the $5 version? Which one is it? Where'd you go? Did you just come in here just to say that and then leave? You gonna come into somebody's live you don't know and say Jesus saves and then you're not even gonna elaborate? I mean, if you're gonna spread the gospel. Shit. I'm giving you an opportunity to spread the gospel. Yo, Christopher, what's going on? It's still Sunday where I'm at. Come on. And then not only that, but you're gonna come in somebody's live that's not religious. Nor do I believe in Jesus, but you're gonna come up in my live and talk about Jesus saves, right? But if you don't say nothing in the next few minutes, as a matter of fact, I'll do you this favor. I don't know who the hell you is, but I'll do you a solid. Before I end this live, you have the opportunity to come and tell me what Jesus saves. Come on with it. See, I thought SummerSlam was mid. No, as what MJ typically do this on live streams. Yeah, I know. And you know, sometimes I can get some dialogue. You know, am I atheist? No, I'm not an atheist. I do have a spiritual system. It just doesn't include Jesus and that God everybody be talking about. Well, I'll to put it simply, African spirituality, the Kemetic version of the African spirituality. So I don't go by the 10 Commandments. I go by the 48 laws of Ma'at, which there's like a 100 and something more. But we only, recognize 48 of those laws. I know what saved me, Naomi's match. That boy, what's going on, Tia? Hey, Coffee, I see you. What's going on, y'all? Is atheist someone who doesn't believe in God? Yeah. It's not even somebody who doesn't believe in God. It's just somebody that has no spiritual foundation, no spiritual system, anything. They don't believe in nothing. But you do have some that go more on a scientific wave. But pretty much atheist is just like, you're born, you live, and you die. But I do have a Christian background, which, growing up in America, that's kind of commonplace, especially in California. You're or you're either a Christian or you're a Muslim. We got some Catholics rolling around here. You know, we got some Jews rolling around here. On both sides, we got the white Jews and the black Jews. Yeah. AKA the Israelites. I want to come back and tell me what Jesus says. Look, I'll even sing Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I'm a decent. I grew up in Christianity, though. I had no choice. You know what I'm saying? I had no choice. Sing. Hey, my grandma say the two wrongs things to lose friends is talking about oh yeah. Well, I mean that because people they allow their emotions to get involved in those type of conversations, because I can have conversations with anybody about this stuff. You know, I can perfectly have a respectable conversation. Now, the problem lies is when one side doesn't want to acknowledge the other information that is presented. They want to continually try to stick that same bit of information in your face and say, no, that is the truth. Well, if that is the truth, then where the hell did I come up with this? Obviously, this happened too, right? Because, yeah, but y'all don't want to acknowledge that part because it doesn't go against the power structure. Because if we allow people to actually think and see what the truth is, they lose power. They lose control. You know, because the thing that the reason why they have such a stronghold with this religion stuff is because it's a brainwashing tactic. Let's implement it like this, and then generationally speaking, as time goes on, this is what's brought down to us. This is what it is. There ain't nothing else. But as we know, as we grow up and we learn and we see other things, there is a lot more to life than what is in that book. You know, and when you study, and if you're fortunate enough to travel and see these different places and things, you will see it's a lot more to life and what has happened in the existence of life than what is in that book. You know. Oh, you love politics? Yeah, I love politics too. I can talk politics all day. The gospel music hits different. Even no, that's facts. Yo, Mark, I still play some gospel music because I still have my favorites. I'll bump some gospel music. You know, shoot, that music get in you, man. You out there like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like that, yeah. I can roll with this. I love sports, LO Chicago. Nikki Gilbert, oh yeah. I'm a former church girl, not going back. And I heard that. She said, I ain't going back. It ain't gonna happen. I feel you. You know. Cause and look, I would really would speak very, very highly of the church. You know, if it wasn't for all the scandal and all the lies, the hypocritical shit that goes on, the backstabbing politics that goes on, the favoritism that goes on, you know. And then for God's sakes, can y'all get somebody to cook some goddamn church food that ain't gonna give you high blood pressure? And tell them to cook it all the way too. Golly. Sure, that church, man, you go buy a church dinner, man, you go up there, gotta start popping blood pressure pills the next day. At Chicago West, speaking of politics, did you know that it can in friendships and relationships unless if there is a safe space to talk about it? That is true. See, the thing is with politics and religion is that people aren't open-minded to listen. They automatically want to debate and tell you that, yeah, exactly. That's where it goes. And then as soon as that happens, that's when all the arguing starts happening. That's when all the disrespect starts happening. And then you can't get nowhere. You know, it's very evident. There's different religions, different cultures, different everything. There should be no problem with everybody getting along. The problem is you got this side saying, no, this is the truth. You got this side saying this is the truth. And you got this side saying this is the truth, instead of just acknowledging that it's all the truth. With some hiccups and need some, need some shaping up, got to correct a couple things here and there. But nonetheless, it's all the truth. Because if it wasn't all the truth, then, you know what I'm saying? It would have never existed to even be talked about. But that's why it's important to always do critical research. Don't listen to what somebody tells you. Don't just because the pastor says, oh, chapter this, verse that is the way to go, when if you just do your research, you realize that ain't the only place to go. As a matter of fact, I learned more about religion outside of the church than I ever did inside the church, which is wild. No, if you are adults, you can talk about politics and listen without emotion. Yep, that's facts. Yep, exactly. My spiritual journey is much different, and I'm glad where I am right now. Straight up, that's what I'm talking about. See, I'm a far leftist Republican, but I can have a conversation with a Democrat without getting mad. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It shouldn't matter, what side of the aisle, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we all have good ideas, but we don't all listen to the good ideas. It's this ego-driven thing where it's like, no, I have to be right. And my ideas and what I say and this, that, this is how it's supposed to go. And you're never going to get no. This is why the country has not gotten better. I know there's some people that will say, yeah, when Donald Trump's first term, things were, no, not for everybody. Not for everybody. And like I've stated before, as long as there is homelessness, you have failed as a country. I'm going to say that again, and I'm going to keep on saying it. As long as there is homelessness, you have failed as a country. As long as as my man says, you know what I'm saying, my low, Jesse, unhoused. As long as there's people living on the streets, jumping in garbage cans, walking up and down the street, trying to find somewhere to eat, sleep, trying to get some money to get high and to get drunk just so they can escape the ugliness that they have to live in. Because a country and politicians that says that we love every single person. If you are an American, we love you. If you're not an American and you are here and you have built your family and your traditions and your values here. But, and it's a strong but. When I sit up here and I listen to these people talk, oh yes, the economy is so great. The economy is so good. Oh great. Yeah, okay. Well, how come there's still millions of people still living on the street? And I digress. Personally, I have no spiritual, no religious, no political views, but it's okay if you. Yeah, hey, that's ain't nothing wrong with that. That is perfect. That is perfect. You know, because your mind is open and it's not just like, okay, this is who I am, so this is the area I'm going to cover. No, you cover all areas. By doing that, it opens and expands so much, you know. And that's not to say that if you believe in one thing or not, that it still doesn't apply. But when you believe in one thing or not, that's where you're going to kind of lean to more often than not, compared to somebody that doesn't have a political view or a religion where that they can lean onto that. They can, you know, whatever it is, you know, that's what it is. Yeah, exactly, all of it. Oops. Sure, I have friends that are Democrats and Republicans. Everyone should respect people's opinions like it was back when, sure, even before that, you know. Chicago, I've always have a conversation with anyone who has a different opinion than I do. That's how I learn in part. That bingo, you can't learn. You can't learn if you just shut everything out, right? You can't. You know, can't argue with facts. You know, I don't do opinions, only facts. But I hate being the smartest person in the room. I'll be feeling the same way too. You know, and yeah, I you know. Look, opinions are good to have, but it should never be based on in the conversations. You know, it should never be the base of a conversation. Conversations when you're having conversations about politics, religion, or whatever, it should always be a fact-based conversation. Always. Because when you start giving your opinion, now you're putting your ego involved. Now you're personalizing it. And you should never personalize a conversation that you're having with either one individual or multiple individuals. Picking sides is toxic to a point. Now it's very toxic. See, growing up in church, I never connected to anything. I was forced to go, but I later decided to discover faith and spirituality on my own. I find religion fascinating, but I don't believe it. Okay, I feel you. You feel you're about to be, here we go with this bullshit. This is what we gonna do. Hey, bop, get out of here. That dumb shit. You're right, Millie, and that falls on Dems and Republicans. Yeah, you know, everybody's at fault. Everybody's at fault at it. Every president, every congressman and woman, everybody, mayors, you know, council people, everybody sitting in a political seat is at fault. Multi-millionaire pastors asking for donations from poor, vulnerable. I gotta pay my light bill on Monday, but you still want 10%, right? And then you want donations every Sunday on top of that. Y'all got 10%. 10% ain't what? You got a congregation of 500 people at 10%. That ain't enough. That ain't enough. Like, goodness. You know? Yeah, my stepdad would agree with you, Jay. American has so much money, no one should be suffering or dying. Y'all can't agree or disagree. Man, it's horrible. Did I vote for Trump? Sure did. Do I agree with everything he's doing? Absolutely not. Yeah, hey, look, I'm nowhere near a Trump guy. Matter of fact, I can't stand him. But that doesn't mean that I can still agree on some of the policies he has put out there that I actually do agree with. You know, I'm not going to, you know, and look, A lot of people shitted on Biden. Biden had some good policies too. Every president has some good policies. It's not all bad. You know what I'm saying? It's not all bad. But the problem is a lot of voters speak with emotion and not with their head. You know? And that would lead to blind voting. You know? And you know, it's like, and I seen something the other day where I was like, now you see, Joe Biden had did that, it'll be headlines, segments, special news broadcasts. Oh, Joe Biden done forgot who he was around. He forgot his own name and he forgot this and forgot that. So they just had a press conference or whatever about this fitness and health thing that Donald Trump had been working on with a few people or whatnot. And so Triple H was there. Triple H, who works for WWE, former professional wrestler, now the head booker of WWE, and a kiss ass and all that, right? So something happened during that press conference that, yo, Donald Trump is old. Triple H is standing right next to him, like literally on his left side. He was talking about Lawrence Taylor, who you couldn't see him on screen, which I find very convenient. But he's talking to him, and then not only that, but he looked at Triple H when he came in the room. And then while he started talking, he was like, and Triple H, he's looking on the opposite side of the room for Triple H, and he's literally standing right there. Now, Joe Biden had a bunch of fumbles and all that when he was president, and he got crucified. All I'm saying is keep it fair. Keep it fair game. Because Donald Trump is an old man. He's going to have some slippage. And for some reason, you got people out there that voted for him who act like he's not going to have no slippage. He's old. Every old person has slippage. You know? Especially when you done had 2 aneurysms. See, I voted for Trump for 2 reasons, and he did both of those things. I voted him to do, but I can't cherry pick to this and don't yet. And that's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying. You know, when Joel Osteen didn't want to have poor people. Oh my God, oh Tati, that shit had me hot. That shit had me hot. That shit had me. And you know what pissed me off even more about that, Tati, was the fact that people were saying, "Oh well, the church it was flooded." That was only part of the church. The rest of that church was not flooded. He could have let people in from the side doors and everything, and could have given them shelter. I was so pissed off at that motherfucker for doing that shit. But he does God's work, right? He does God's work, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That shit had me, man. Yep. He was. When you have a church with millions of dollars in an account, but the people who come to the church and the community hardly getting by saving the money for a new cross stop. That's where they got us fucked up at. Chicago. That's where they got us fucked up at. You know, oh, God will provide. God will provide and do this and do that. I'm like, God will provide. Okay, well, wait, hold on. Tell me this. Okay, I'm glad we're having this conversation. I'm glad we're having this conversation. Tell me this. Tell me this. If God provides and God is so good, once again, how come there's so many homeless people that is unhoused? You know. Oh, well, this is the kicker right here. And this is where they be getting me at. And I just be like, oh, if I could just put my hands on you just one good time, just for saying that stupid shit. Well, Jesus he didn't have a lot of money either. Jesus, like, if y'all don't stop with the bullshit, stop it. I don't want to hear nothing about God provides this or that and the third. When we have so many people, look, moms and dads create babies and they're planning and preparing for the birth of their child, excited, nervous, anticipating another life. And the baby dies. Whose fault is that? Is that God created the kid, right? God created the kid, right? So you tell me God created a kid just for the kid to die? Am I hearing that correctly? Because they always say, God created all of us. Okay, well, if we're going to go with that notion, then if God created all of us, then God also killed some of us. See, but they don't want to hear that part. They don't want to hear that part. They want to make it good. But see, the thing about God, you gotta take the good with the bad. Because if God is all things and all things is God, then you gotta take the good with the bad. You can't cherry pick. You can't do that. Because if he created the good, he created the bad too, right? I love George Washington and Abraham Lincoln policy, Theodore Roosevelt. See, Jesus didn't have a lot of money, but he did feed how many people? Fish and bread? Yeah. That's what they say. Fish and bread. These homeless people ain't even getting fish or the bread. He didn't have it in storage for it. Nope. So if you have to take the food with the bad, if you have to take the good with the bad, does that mean we have to have a little bit of the You said it right there. Because we got to remember, when we're talking about God and the devil himself was an angel. The devil was up in heaven. It was a battle going on because he wanted power. God was like, nah. And then God forsaking him, sent him down to the bottom. But this is the thing, though. They say God is this all-powerful God, which means God controls and has power over everything. Well, if that's the case, how come the devil is causing so much destruction right now? I digress. They always say everyone hated Jesus, but we have to love that part. But it seems they trying to get everyone to hate the devil makes you wonder. Exactly. As a deist, I believe God exists for creation, but I don't believe God intervenes with life. No such thing as prayers nor miracles. On the seventh day, God rested and said, "Deuces." He said, "I'm up out of here. Like I created this. Here y'all go. You got this. Now leave me the hell alone. I'm out. I'm done. I'm tired." A lot of work I had to do. Oh, because in real life, when everyone hates on someone, that's the person I want to talk to. Exactly. You know. You know how they say, "Oh, you shouldn't say hate. Hate is such a strong word." And look, I don't strongly dislike. If I hate something, I hate it. If I hate somebody, I hate that person. I'm not about to apologize, take it back, say, "Oh no, I just no." Now I did get caught up in that at one point in time where I was like, "Yeah, you know," but then I'm like, "Well, no, I'm not about to do that," because at the end of the day, no matter what we believe in, they say there's a heaven or a hell. I don't go on that narrative. What I go on is when we transition and our souls leave this body that we're in, we go into a whole nother dimension. Our souls travel somewhere else. Where that is, I have no idea. Won't know until we get there. You know what I'm saying? But it moves on to something else, you know, unless that person is well, Dub's gonna get caught up in a purgatory. His soul gonna get stuck. It's not gonna move. You know, I can't go on that. The God sitting up in there in the mansion in the sky, sitting on his throne, and I'm like, okay, what does God look like? Y'all keep talking about this guy as if this God is a person. What does this God look like? What color eyes does God have? Does God got big ears, small ears? Does God got a big head, small head, medium head? Does God got big feet, small feet, big hands, small hands? Is God tall? Is God short? Is God medium height? What does God look like? Please tell me, what does God look like? Because every time I hear somebody going through one of these near-death experiences, they always say they see a light. So, if this is the case, then why do people keep on referring to God as a he? How are we just going to go on and say God is a he? How do we know he's a he? He could be a she. We don't know. But I don't think God is a he or a she. Well, look. The only God that I know for sure of is my mama and my daddy. Those two came together, created me. My mama carried me for 9 months. I came out. She raised me. She nourished me. She taught me. Long before I even knew what a God was. But I don't recognize God as a he or she. God is simply, to me, an entity. Simple as that. An entity. Now, some will say that God is the sun, which that makes sense too. Because when the sun comes up, That's when we rise up. When the sun goes down, that's when we chilling. But for some reason, they keep referring to God as a person. He this, he that, he this, he that. Huh? How you know it's a he? Oh, my father this and my father that. What? How? Because it says it in the book. A book that has been manufactured, remixed, tossed up, twisted, scratched on, and all kinds of shit. That book you talking about? You talking about that book that has many different books left out of it? You talking about that book right there? Oh, okay. Like when people go to these meetings, these AA meetings and these NA meetings, and they be having to, you know what I'm saying? They got God at the forefront of that, and I'm like, okay. But if that's the case, wasn't God the one that got them into addiction in the first place? I digress. I've been told I'm not empathetic because when people die, I will not lie and tell you so and so went to heaven. We simply don't know that. People say that to comfort themselves for their loss. Bingo! I tell people all the time, hey, when I'm gone, speak the truth. Tell the good and bad about me. Because it's all of me. You know? It's all of me. The good and the flawed. You know? Because I even like some church people I've had a conversation with, and in that conversation, you know, they started on this heaven and hell idea. And then as the conversation continued on, and I was explaining them my side of things and what I stand on and why this and why that, they start to like, well, you know, it went from heaven to hell to, well, you know, we really don't know where we're going to go, you know, but that's just something that we believe in. And like I always stipulate, and like I always say, and I haven't said it in a while, but a belief is not fact or true. Because at the end of the day, a belief is more on the side of an opinion. That's your opinion that we're going to heaven or hell. That's not a fact base. You don't know that. Ain't nobody in the existence of life has come back from the dead and said, oh yes, there's a heaven and hell. Nobody. So it's hard to say, or it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's an injustice to say or to tell somebody that they're going to go to heaven or hell when you yourself don't even know that. But you're going based off of an opinion. You're telling somebody an opinion and people actually going on this opinion. We don't know. We just don't know. You know? And they think that if they go against that somehow they're going to be struck down or God is going to, punish them because they don't like. Yeah, I have yet to be struck down. I have yet to be struck down by lightning. you know. But we have to get out of this feel good idea and start telling the truth. And start telling the truth. Because like with my daughter, when I had my daughter, I had already left the church, but I still had the concept of Jesus in my mind. So, I would let her go to church with her grandmother and stuff. And then that was a way that, they could bond and, do all that good stuff, right? To the point to where she even got saved at the church. But then when I started getting into my Kemetic studies and I started to learn a lot more outside of what I already knew, that's when I started teaching it to her. Now, little did I know that she had already started on the journey herself. And when she got into high school, she had joined the what they call that? The African club or whatever. And then so I was teaching her, about Kemet, and then she was telling me like, yeah, my teacher, he just told us about that, and and then and then some of the things that I had previously taught her, they was teaching that in class, and then she would come and tell me, yeah, Dad, you was right about that. We just had talked about that in school. So I'm like, okay. So what I did was, as I learned, I taught my daughter. Because I wanted to make sure that she knew as much as possible. And now you talk to her, you know what I'm saying? She man, look. I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of that woman. Because that's exactly what she is. She is a young woman, doing it on her own. See, Hogan's situation made me see that people who were entertained by him are saying respect the dead, and Hogan ain't going to heaven for body slamming Andre. LL, people are crazy. Yo, and Tati, that's why I refer to them as the marks, the WWE marks, because that's some mark ass shit right there. That's the problem with America right there. People rather be entertained than actually deal with the issues. There was an opportunity there that WWE did not take a hold of, which I'm not surprised, because WWE supports racism. But they'll never come out and say it, obviously. But you can see it. They got a history of it. They got a history of coonery. And I'm so glad that they did a Dark Side of the Ring with Tony Atlas, because I did not know that Rocky Johnson was the reason why. I always thought it was Vince McMahon that had to split them up. I had no idea that Rocky Johnson went behind that man's back and basically just buried him. You buried another black man because you didn't want him to be as successful as you as a singles person, because your career was declining. He was the star of the team, and your ego couldn't handle that. So instead of you being a man about the situation, you went to Vince and you buried him. And then years later, when the son brings him back, he brings him back as a fucking Samba Simba, get the fuck out of here. Like that shit right there. Nah. Highly disrespectful. I didn't even get into the gimmick. I didn't like it. I couldn't wait until I stopped seeing it. Cause I'm like, this is an Olympian right here. This is an Olympian. And you got him up here in this African garb over here doing the damn crazy African dances and all that. Like, how much more disrespectful can you get? And then prior to that, you had Roddy Piper over here doing half blackface. Like we weren't going to catch on to that. Oh, wait, not to mention Bad News Brown. Vince McMahon was going to put the WWF title on Bad News Brown, but guess who killed that? Hulk Hogan. Because somehow Hogan convinced Vince that a black man should not be WWF champion. And pro wrestling is very ego driven. A black man will leave another black man in the dust for fame. He sure will. He sure will. And you know something that I'm kind of ashamed of it, that I personally did not pick up on this, but I seen somebody's thumbnail yesterday, and I'm gonna go back and watch the video, and it was kind of going to go into the history of the racism in WWE, and on their thumbnail they had Junkyard Dog in a chain, and then they had another person on the other side, and it was the image of a slave in a chain. And I said, and then I thought back to when JYD was in Mid-South. He didn't have no chain. He didn't have no chain. The only time he had a chain was in WWF and WCW. Mid-South, he didn't have a chain. I said, you know what? That is diabolical they did that shit. And why he went along with that shit, I'm not going to hold his feet to the fire because that was a different time and he had to feed his family. And as a black wrestler, yeah. It was very hard. One video is that with the JYD. Okay. I'll send it to you. Yeah, I gotta go back into my history. I don't know why I didn't put that into my watch later. Yeah, but I'm gonna send it to you. That shit had me like, whoa. They really put. Damn. And then when he went to WCW, they did it again. And WCW, oh my God. WCW / NWA was one of the racist, man, it was hella racist over there. Oh shit. When Ron Simmons was challenging Lex Luger for the World Heavyweight title, and Harley Race was Luger's manager. It was a segment on Worldwide. I'm gonna have to pull that up and put it in my community post. But I that racist shit Harley Race said to. Now Harley Race was another racist. Pun intended. But you know what I'm saying? He basically told Ron Simmons, you know what I'm saying, you need to be driving Lex Luger around and picking up his bags, boy. I was like, whoa. That was, you know. And you gotta imagine at that age, being young and black and seeing that type of stuff, it was man, you know. And they like to say Bill Watts was a racist, and I'm not gonna say he didn't have racially motivated views, but I will say this: when it came to his promotion, he promoted black wrestlers to the top of the card. He promoted black wrestlers to the top of the card. And then when he was running WCW, he made Ron Simmons within the first 6 months of him running the company. He made Ron Simmons World Heavyweight Champion. You know, and not too many promoters can actually say that, because it was about the talent. It wasn't about the color. And that's the way it needs to be. Because some of them white wrestlers do not need to be on TV. I'm just saying, So, but oh yeah, congratulations on a lighter note. On a lighter note, congratulations to MJF. Congratulations to MJF. I like the fact that he won that belt. That's a nice looking belt too. I've never seen that belt before. That belt is hella nice. I like that. Now the question is, will we see it on Wednesday? We should see it on Wednesday. I think MJF is one of the guys that, Tony Khan like, yeah, you go ahead and bring that on out. That's funny. They like, fuck you, MJF. And this fool goes on to win a singles title in a different country. That's funny. Now what would MVP do? Now what if MVP says, no, I want MJF still in the syndicate? I actually hope he does. I think it will lead to Max versus Mystico at Forbidden Door. Oh yeah. Yeah, that one's gonna be a lot better match. Yeah, it needs to be, because right now it's just AEW Forbidden Door. And really at this point, they need to just get rid of the pay-per-view and call it something else. Like, I don't know. The Rumble in Mexico, or I don't know. But Forbidden Door, that's kind of a dead concept now, because before it wasn't like how it is now. It wasn't like you would just see wrestlers popping up in major promotions and then popping up in these indie promotions. It wasn't like that. It was like once you got to that major promotion, you was there, And then AEW comes and they just open up the floodgates, And now WWE's doing it, Even though it's kind of been going on, but it was never a thing, So it's like, do we really need a Forbidden Door title? I don't know what they would call it, but yeah, this should be the absolute last one. No more Forbidden Door, Tony. Let it go. I was where we at. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this. Thank y'all for coming through. We had a real good conversation here. Real good conversation. You know, I'm gonna take this one off of private. You know, so anybody that want to come back and catch the replay, they can. So we coming up on another week. Great job this weekend, King Leo, covering SummerSlam. Had fun tonight on the panel. Tomorrow, King Leo, no dirt sheets. Monday Night Raw, and again on Tuesday for NXT. Then we are at the lovely Wrestle Tatis for AEW Dynamite. And again, is Collision on Thursday this week again, or is it back on Saturday? They be having us all confused. Sometimes it's on Thursday, sometimes it's on Saturday. You know. Saturday, okay. Well, we will be back again on Saturday at Wrestle Tatis for AEW Collision. And make sure you guys go and sub up to Very Cute GM. She has a great channel. She does gaming, and she also covers mystery wrestling. You know, make sure you go sub up to all three of those channels, as well as Sandman. Make sure you go sub up to that brother as well. And Diedrich at what's the channel again? New World Order. I know I'm missing a word in there. I know I want to promote his channel too. Let's see. Let me make sure I get this. Oh, hold on. I think this is it. Yeah. Make sure y'all go sub up to New World Wrestling Order. The brother got some hard hitting content over there. Make sure y'all go over there and sub up to that brother as well. And make sure y'all sub up to right here at What's Cracking TV with Jay Militant. The rebranding is coming. I had to push it back. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. There's a lot going on in the background, but it is and it will happen here real soon. So with that said, y'all have a good night, and I will see y'all tomorrow at No Dirt Sheets for Monday Night Raw. Good night. Peace.